What's going on, YouTube? This is Ben here, also known as AP Sports Cards, where we take kind of an academic approach to sports cards, Pokemon cards, collectibles, anything and everything you can think of. In this video, we'll be talking about PSA grading, and more specifically, will ROTA grade become profitable again? Will we once again be able to send our low-end cards to PSA when they reduce their prices and achieve a lot of profit from doing these type of ventures? So stick with me and we'll get right into it. So before I get into that, I kind of want to get into what the hobby consensus is today with respect to grading, right? Right now, the whole ROTA grade for low value cards thing is impossible. At least it's impossible to do through PSA. There's maybe still some ways you can eke out a profit with SGC, but I think a lot of people are waiting on PSA to lower their grading costs so that they can grade with PSA and get those PSA premiums and get their stuff on the market to flip it quickly. The other hobby consensus, or at least it's a theory that's floating around the hobby right now, is that part of the reason the hobby has slowed down and prices have decreased is because of the PSA shutdown, right? And when ROTA grade comes back, it will come back strong and it will come back with lower grading costs. And it might even come back better because there won't be, such a big backlog. I'll spoil kind of my conclusion here to this video, but I actually think the backlog was super good for card prices, and I can show why here soon. I think that having a smaller backlog is going to hurt card values significantly. Before I get into this, I also want to kind of define what I mean when I'm saying ROTA grade and the type of cards I'm talking about. I am talking about cards that you wouldn't be grading today, and when I say ROTA grade, I'm talking about buying a card raw and then immediately grading it with the intent to sell, right? People grade for PC, people grade so that when the card goes up, they'll have a graded card that they invested in. But I'm talking about being able to take a random card, slab it up, and sell it for more than the cost of the card plus the cost of the slab. There's kind of a consensus right now about, what cards are worth grading, right? And smart people anyway are kind of following a pretty strict formula, right? The consensus is that if the raw price of the card plus the grading cost that you have to put into the card is greater than the PSA 9 price of the card, then it's okay to grade that card with PSA. You break even or do a little bit better on the 9s. Sorry, I guess I'm saying if the PSA 9 price of the card is greater than those values, then it's okay to grade with PSA. And in that case, you do better on the 9s. You break even on the 9s, and then on the 10s, you make a bunch of money, right? So kind of everybody knows this. We live this now. So what does that mean, right? If everybody's following the same set of rules, kind of my theory here is that the arbitrage potential that we used to have in the hobby is over. So I'm going to get into a few examples later in this, but that's really my thesis here, right? Is for cards that are readily available in raw mint condition, there's now going to be a cap on the card price. And that's simple supply and demand, right? So as long as grading is profitable for people, and as long as they're following that rule and making profit, they will continue to grade the card, at which point the populations for that same card will rise to meet that market demand. So let's take an example. I'll show you later in the video. Maybe we'll talk about Cam Reddish, right? And Cam Reddish silvers. Cam Reddish silver is a certain value right now. Maybe Cam Reddish makes an all-star team. Maybe he's an all-NBA player. Well, I guarantee you right now his populations are lower than, say, Zion, right? And so will his price go up, or will his, if he has a all-NBA second team season, which is kind of crazy. I don't think Cam Reddish is going to have an all-NBA second team season. But if he were to, would his price really go up that much? Or I think more likely, his populations would increase to Zion levels or to close to Zion levels. They'll increase to whatever level they have to be for it to stop being profitable grading, right? So as long as grading is profitable in a perfectly fluid market, flippers will grade until the supply meets the demand, right? And at which point the card prices are going to go back to this equilibrium. And that equilibrium is going to be defined by, our grading equation, right? So once it stops being profitable to grade, the pop counts will stop going up. And then once the player demand increases, whether it's from good performance or hobby growth or whatever, people will, the price will, in theory, go up, but it won't. Just because the demand increases, the price won't go up because the supply is going to increase with it. So that's my theory. So I think that grading with PSA will always be a hard decision. Right now, I have some cards that I'm debating grading at the $100 service level, right? But if it were $50, in a theory, I'd be thrilled to grade those cards. But I know that there's a million other people like me that are excited to grade those same cards at $50. And the populations of those cards are going to boom to the point where that card price is going to crash with that new population. So I'm not sure that it's ever going to be a play to grade cards that are readily available in mint condition ever again, right? I think that there's a good break even opportunity, and there's a good opportunity to get the cards in the slab so that if after it's slabbed, the player demand increases, now you have the card to sell instantly. But it's going to be hard to do that again. And the reason why is because, like I said, in an ideal market, flippers like me or flippers like other people who are trying to grade cards for profit will grade until the supply meets demand, right? The thing is, so then what made grading cards so profitable in the first place? Because that could have always been the case, right? But the thing is, we weren't in an ideal market before, right? Guys basically started sending in their cards, and then while their cards were at PSA, there was an unprecedented spike in demand, right? And then since PSA was so slow, the supply could not fill that demand because we couldn't get cards graded because PSA was so slow grading cards. So in that way, having a huge backlog really helped the people who got their cards into PSA's hands early, right? And I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think that, people are saying PSA is going to drop prices, and I think that that's probably true. But I think PSA is going to drop prices, but they will never drop prices to the point where they have a backlog like they had before, right? I think PSA is going to use price to make it so that their output and their input of cards are roughly equal, and they will set the price at whatever they need to set it to make that happen, which means no more long backlogs, no more long waiting times. And one of the things that you were paid for, as a flipper before is you were rewarded because you were willing to send your cards to PSA for 13 months and tie up all that money for all that time. And because of that, you were rewarded with profit, right? Now, I don't think you're going to have to do that. I think the 3-month turnarounds are probably going to be the standard, even at lower service levels, right? So I really don't think that grading cards that are readily available in raw mint condition is going to be profitable anymore. All right, so hopping into Card Ladder here, we're taking a look at the 2019 Cam Reddish Prism Silver PSA 10. So Cam Reddish right now is a really interesting case study. Looking at his price, his PSA 10 sells for $163.50, and his PSA 9 sells for $50. So if you think about this card and whether it's worth grading, we kind of do our general equation, right? So right now, grading is $100 a card. So can I break even on a PSA 9? No, I cannot. Can I make money on a 10? I maybe make $50 on a 10, and I lose $50 on a 9. If I expect half 9s and half 10s, grading is about a break-even proposition for me. And that's before you factor in the fact that I'd have to buy this card raw to grade it, or I could, if I already owned the card, I could just sell it raw and get some value out of it. So this is an obvious no from a grading perspective right now. However, people are kind of theorizing that PSA is going to drop prices and we're going to end up having a $50 a card option, right? And at $50 a card, I think a lot of people will choose to grade this Cam Reddish card. So my question is, what do I think that that's going to do to the price and the population, right? Because a lot of people, I think, are going to make a mistake here. I think once PSA lowers their prices to $50 a card, which maybe will happen, probably will happen, but once they do, people are going to look at this price. They're going to look at this $163 and think, okay, if I get a 10, I can sell it for $163. If I get a 9, I can sell it for $50. I'm going to make money grading this card. But they're missing a key point. This $163 price tag is dependent on this 476 pop. If that pop doubles, that price is coming down. So I think a lot of people are going to make the mistake of using today's prices where the pop counts are artificially deflated to justify grading these cards. And then by the time they get these cards back, we're all going to get them back at the same time, and the populations will rise. A bunch of these will hit eBay all at once, and you'll have a little crash on your hands. So I think this is true for a lot of cards where the population still has a lot of potential. Now there's some cards where I think the populations are close to fleshed out, right? I'm going to take a look here at the Zion PSA 10 Silver. So this card has always been valuable enough to be worth grading. So most of these that are in good condition, we can assume probably got graded. Well, there's 1,400 of these compared to only about 500 cam radishes. So there's 900 to 1,000 more cam radishes probably that have PSA 10 potential that are still out in collectors' binders, out in top loaders, ready to be sent to PSA. This population is probably going to explode the second grading costs are lowered, and you should stay away from trying to grade this card because I think this price is going to be affected by that rise in population. So what conclusions can we draw from all this, right? Like what behavior should we change? So I know for me personally, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, right? I have a stack of cards, mostly Keldon Johnson silvers and weird junk cards that I was thinking about grading when PSA opened a lower service level, right? But based on this new theory, thinking of the idea that everybody's going to be looking to do that, and those populations are going to rise, and those card values are probably going to stay flat, or even decline. Probably actually decline quite a bit. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. I think that there's a pretty good chance that all the cards that are worthy of being graded today are the same cards that are worthy of being graded at $50 service level and maybe even at $30 service level. I think that it's going to be really hard to justify grading cards that aren't actually rare. What I do think we could take from this is grading cards that are actually rare is still a really good idea, right? Because in that case, you can't have this situation where the population, the supply rises to meet the demand. Eventually, you run out. You run out much quicker on a card that's actually rare and actually valuable, right? So I think that's certainly a play. So I again, and this is not revolutionary content for 2022 and late 2021, right? Is get into cards that are more rare, more valuable, and hopefully, this is just my advice. This is what I'm going to do for myself. Obviously, you can do whatever you want. Maybe you want to zig while I'm zagging, but this is what I'm going to try to do: is not grade cards, not waste my time grading these cards that are going to have rising population counts. And also, maybe try to get into some cards that are actually rare in raw condition and then grade those. And I have kind of another video that I'm thinking about doing on this topic, but I'm really only trying to grade cards where grading matters, right? I'd like to grade cards that are condition sensitive. I like to grade cards that have the 10x multiplier between the 9 and the 10 as opposed to the 2.5x multiplier that ultra modern Luka Doncic prisms have. So the other conclusion that I think we can draw is that if you're holding a $200 card right now, a $200 slab right now that is artificially deflated pop count, right? If you're holding that Cam Reddish card, if you're holding, some of the slabs behind me, you might want to think about getting rid of those because as soon as PSA opens up a lower service tier, those populations are going to increase and that's going to flood the market. There's going to be a lot of people undercutting each other on price of those type of cards, and those card prices probably will go down. That's what I think is going to happen. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I'm gonna cut to a little bit of a channel introduction here. This is one of my first videos on the channel, maybe even my first, depending on which one I try to publish first. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to tell you kind of what this channel is all about. And thank you so much for watching. What's going on, guys? This is Ben here with AP Sports Cards. I'm here to do a little bit of a channel introduction today. So for anybody who's not familiar with what I'm intending to do, which is probably everybody, I'll let you know here in this video. So yeah, my name is Ben. I'm a recent sports cards, Pokemon cards, collectibles enthusiast. I'm really excited to start a channel and drop some good content for you. So let me tell you a little bit about me. So I was born in 91 and I'm a 30-year-old guy now. And I kind of grew up in a time where, sports cards weren't a very big deal. But Pokemon cards certainly were when I was a kid. I didn't have a lot of sports cards. I had a lot of Pokemon. Of course, just like everybody else, I loved the cards when I was a kid. I kind of put them away for a few years and of course, COVID brought me back, just like it did for a lot of people. I started recollecting again probably in the summer of 2020, maybe late spring of 2020. I remember Kyle Lewis was tearing it up for the Mariners. Obviously, I'm a big Mariners fan. I've got some Kyle Lewis above me here. Kyle Lewis was tearing it up. I just found out that we were going to have our first kid. I was getting nostalgic. I was getting emotional. And my brother-in-law opened a pack of cards that he got at Walmart. he got a Kyle Lewis numbered card. I was like, whoa, there's only 300 of those in the world. I want to buy that from you. I bought it from him for $20 and helped him pay for the pack. I had no idea. I bought it I didn't know how to check eBay comps or anything like that. So I bought it sight unseen for $20. Card's not worth $20 anymore. It's at PSA right now. It's probably going to get a 10 and it's probably going to, be an $8 card, but there's no way in hell I'll ever sell it. So yeah, that's kind of was my reintroduction back into the hobby. I started buying a lot of I started trying to make some plays to gain the value of my collection and sort of ladder up so that I could eventually get into some really big, cool cards that I loved. I bought a lot of Mariners cards and then I bought some Jason Tatum among some other things, some Pokemon, and I was buying and selling and trying to make money. Not necessarily make money to pay any bills. I'm good there. I wanted to make money because I think that's kind of the fun that I get out of the hobby. And I think that's what you'll see on this channel. I'm an engineer by trade, and so I'm really into analytics. I'm into analytics in sports. I'm a big baseball analytics guy, and I'm a big basketball analytics guy. I think the analytics of cards are really fun, and I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. I know that a lot of people kind of think that it's maybe sucking some of the soul out of the hobby, and I kind of totally get that. I like to have discussions about buy what you like, and I like the passion that comes with a lot of these card collectors. But for me, the buy what you like discussions are only interesting for so long, right? Because you say you like it. I say I like it. I say I don't like it. You say you don't like it. It's a matter of opinion. You can't really argue. You can't have a fun debate there. So I like the idea of which cards are a good value, which cards do I think should be valued more in the market, and those values are measured in dollars and they can be analyzed and debated, and I think that's really fun. So that's what you'll see on this channel, a lot of analysis about which cards I think are expensive, which cards I think are cheap. I'm going to do my best not to pump and dump anything. I'm going to do my best to not manipulate markets, and I don't think that I'll have the reach to do that anyway. So I'm really excited about all the things I can do there. This channel, I think, is kind of, I'm going to call the channel AP Sports Cards as an advanced placement, like the classes you might have taken in high school. I originally was going to call it like Sports Card Professor or something like that, but there's a lot of professor names out there and most of them are taken. So I'm going with advanced placement AP Sports Cards, kind of the nerdier side of sports cards investing and collecting. So I'll be doing a lot of kind of opinion pieces and trying to back them up with data. That's sort of my bag here. I'd love to, someday have a channel or maybe use this channel to talk about sports and analytics. I'm thinking about a series on wins above replacement and why it's useful and actually how it's calculated. I think that would be a fun video for people. I recognize that the math is not interesting for everybody, so I'll try to make my content interesting outside of just the math aspect that only interests me and maybe a few other people. But I'm also okay with having my cohort of nerdy math people who are into my content and keeping it small too. I just need to get these takes off, man. I've got so much to say. I consume a lot of YouTube content. I'm in chats and things like that, but I've never been a big internet commenter. And I don't really want to hijack somebody else's comment section to start an argument. That's not really my style. I would love to create a video and then start an argument with all of you people for my crazy takes. So that's what I'm looking forward to. AP Sports Cards, my name is Ben. Please like and subscribe. It'd be super helpful. I'm just trying to get this thing off the ground. I'd love to not just be talking to nobody for a long time. I'd love to have a real audience here because I think I have something to say. I understand that, there's a lot of channels out there, and my reaction when I was making this channel was what special skill do I have to offer, right? Like, I think that, there are great channels on YouTube, right? I don't even want to mention it, but there's some people who have like really passionate sports card knowledge and they've been around for a long time, and I'm like, well, I don't have that. And then there's people who can really talk about the art and the different sets, and I think I can kind of do that, but I'm not the best at that. I don't have this long-term knowledge, but what I do have, I think, is kind of the ability to maybe craft an argument, I hope, and the ability to use data. So that's going to be the niche I try to fall into here. We'll see how it works, and I really hope you guys like it. Please subscribe, watch some videos. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if there's an appetite for this type of channel. I guess I know that there are channels, out there like this, but I think the idea of intersecting strong opinions and data is maybe close to unique in the YouTube space right now. So I hope you guys will come with me and follow me along on this journey. So thank you so much for watching this little introduction. I hope you watch some other videos too. Appreciate it. Thank you.